Hi guys, welcome back to the Fermented World channel. Today I am brewing a ginger and rhubarb. You can't really see that, I can't tip it because there's juices. The rhubarb was frozen and I am just going to be chopping up this ginger into thin slices, just roughly, don't matter majorly. It's going to be it'll just, yeah, once it's racked off eventually we'll bypass it all. So the bigger the chunks the better really, but you want littler bits to obviously give more flavour as it goes. So while I'm doing this, I've got some water over there heating up. I've got a cup of tea which is stewing at the moment. I've got a pack of raisins and I'm going to put them, a handful of them in at the end. I've got some Polish honey which I picked up really cheap at Lidl. Multi-flower product, the Polski, and I'm using, as always, M05. So I'm going to speed the chopping of the ginger up as it's pretty boring. So that's that all sliced up now, just roughly. Not messing around. That's about 120 grams, I think it was. And I'm going to put that in this hot water now. Careful not to splash because that's painful. Then we are going to add the honey, which I need to go and get a spoon for. So I'll be back. Voila. The spoon. So into this goes the honey. Now this honey is set. In fact, it's very set. It's a lot more set than I thought it was going to be. Which could present us with a bit of a problem. And a very time-consuming problem. So, I'm going to put a bit in while you're watching me. And then I'm going to have to... Bennett, that's got some grit, that has. But as soon as it's in there, it starts to melt, you see. I need some hot water in this, that's what I need. But I risk adding too much hot water all over the bloody place. I did actually stand these in some hot water as well, but it doesn't seem to have really done a great deal. So yeah, the trials and tribulations. I knew it was set, but I thought it was like medium set. So yeah, I'm going to speed this bit up. Right, that was a lot of effort. A lot more effort. What bloody hell was that? A bit of beard, a bit of moustache. Let's pop that on there. Right, so now that's both jars emptied. What I need to do now is catch that juice because I want that juice. And because this is going to have loads of floaty bits in it, what I'm actually going to do is, normally I put it into a bag, but I'm not putting the rhubarb or the ginger in a bag this time, because I want it to be able to move around instead of it being encapsulated in one place. And I'm going to use one of my big jugs brewing things. So for the record, that's 500 grams of frozen rhubarb, which smells rather good. Now, I don't know whether this mixture is going to work, but I took rhubarb out of the freezer, out of the freezer the other day, and then never got round to actually brewing the rhubarb beer. And then I looked in the fridge and I looked at the state of my my ginger, and it didn't look very good at all. So I've had to pick most of that apart and sort of just see what I can get with it. So now we're going to try mixing all that honey into the water that we've got here, making sure that it's all mixed in nicely, and we'll mix again once we transfer this into the bigger jugs thing. First though, it's going to go into the pitcher so I know how much I've got, because there's every chance that I might have to take some out. Now I can't even see if there's any honey left. I don't think there is. I think it's all mixed in quite nicely. Yeah, I've used set honey before. They might very well complement each other. So to add to this still, I've got the cup of tea which is there for tannins, and I'm going to put in a handful of raisins for tannins as well. If you don't know what tannins are what gives it its mouthfeel. So you know when you drink a cup of tea, it's got that kind of like, not souring, but bittering effect in a way, which puts it in your mouth and it's like, an extra level of stuff. I think we're done. Yeah, I think we're done. We're going to mix again anyway. So now, minus the tea bag, because we don't want the tea bag in there, we're going to add the tea to the pot. Pop that there. And a handful of raisins. I did spill it absolutely everywhere. It's all over my little book here as well. So that needs to dribble off. Oh, I don't know, eh? Literally. Oh, wait, that's way too much. So half a handful is all you need. Got to be careful with this with the dog. I'm not even going to try and put them back in. I'm just going to eat them. Because if I try and put them back in, they're going to go everywhere. So bear with me a minute. So the reason why I eat them is because I've got a dog, and raisins are extremely poisonous to dogs, and so is grapes as well. Not sure why. I don't even think scientists know why. So we've got 1800 grams of Polish mixed flour honey. We have got 120 grams of ginger, 500 grams of rhubarb, half a handful of raisins, and a cup of tea. Now I'm going to transfer this into the pitcher so I know how much I've got, and then we're going to transfer it from there into the fermenter, check the temperature and pitch the yeast. Just remember, the liquid is hot, so be very, very careful. It's cooled down somewhat, but it's still very hot. That might be. Oh, that's good. So we can add a bit of cold water to this. Let's get the last couple of bits in there, because we want all that ginger and whatnot in there. So that's at 350. So I'm going to put it to 4.5 in this. And you always lose a little bit with your fruit anyway, because the fruit absorbs some. So does the raisins, a small amount. So we're going to go over and get the bucket, and we're going to transfer it from the pitcher to the bucket after adding enough water to take it up to 4.5 litres. So now we're just topping it up with some cold water. to about 4.5 litres. And then we're going to prep that up there, this on there, and then we're going to transfer it into this. I just need to get rid of this water. Actually, no, probably get away with putting it in there for now. Saves another edit. And then this can go into the fermenter, which is a 10 litre. Lovely jubbly. Get all that in there. That's what we like. That can go on there. And temperature is reading at about 30 degrees, 32, so it's a little bit warm at the moment. So I'm not going to pitch the yeast because that's between 15 and 30 degrees to be able to pitch. While we wait, first of all, I'm going to take a hydrometer reading to see what density we've got in there, how much sugars that are going to be fermented, and we can guess at a potential ABV depending on where we want to leave it at. Now, I don't think I've ever used this much honey, so that's 1800 grams of honey. Normally I use about 1500, but there's 1800 in this because there's just 2 jars of it. It's like go big or go home. And what I want to get away from is having to then add sugars to it to then back sweeten it when it goes dry. So the theory is add as much sugar as you think you're going to need, honey, sorry, add as much honey as you think you're going to need. Then the yeast will die at a certain point if it goes to that tolerance, but at the same time you may have residual sugars. So it's just play it by ear for me, really. I don't really calculate what it is and what is and that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go get the hydrometer, and I think my lad wants me, so I'll be back in a minute. So got all my equipment over here now. So what was I going to do first? I think first I'm going to put in the yeast nutrients because otherwise I will forget. So per instructions, 1 level teaspoon dissolved into a cup of water, add to vessel, shake well. Nah, I do it differently. I make my own path. I just whack it in and then mix it. And yeast nutrients, which is ammonium sulfate, apparently. And we're going to mix that in. Lots of mixing involved. We like mixing. And we're going to be getting oxygen in there as well. At this point, you need the oxygen so that the yeast can start a colony and get really strong. Right. So let's do a hydrometer test. This is going to take a while to cool down. So what I'm actually going to do is, I mean, it's gone up to 36 now. I'm going to put it in the sink in some cold water, maybe with some ice cubes around it as well. It kind of almost looks green, unless it's just the light. Might be spinning out. Ooh, yeah, that's bloody high. It's gone past the 120 mark. Now I don't know whether it actually measures any larger than 120, to be fair. But let's see if we can guesstimate. Maybe 26, because it's gone past the mark. I think it's stuck to my foot. It's gone past the 20 mark, and if 6 is about there, let's say 24, just to be on the safe side. We don't want to overshoot what we've got, do we? Now that's bizarre, because I thought that there'd be a lot more than that, unless it simply just can't read it anywhere past the 120 mark. I'm not sure. Does anyone know whether hydrometers can read past 120? Because it's showing past 120. I'd put it at about 120. I'd say 126. But I'm going to say 124 just for, argument's sake. But I'm not sure whether adding more sugar now would make that rise even more. In theory it should, but would it? Would it now? And probably shouldn't have put the bloody hydrometer in something that warm, with it being glass. It's definitely all mixed in though. Maybe the honey doesn't have as much sugar as the honey that I'm used to using. Bizarre. Either way, we're going to pop this lid on, which is over there, and just to keep it covered for now, then once it's cooled down, I might as well put the airlock in as well, to be fair. Not going to matter, is it? I'll do. Yep, so that's where we're at for now. 124, I'm going to make a note of that. I'm going to write down all the bits and bobs that I've put in it. And once it's cooled down, we can pitch the yeast. Until then, toodly pip. Right, so now it's cooled down. We're at about 28 degrees. This yeast says it can be pitched between 15 and 30 degrees, so we're well within the parameters. Yeah. I'm going to use a full pack, as I always do. I have tried it with half a pack, but I don't know. Maybe it just seems to take longer or not work as well or whatever. So yeah, we're going to add the yeast. We're going to stir the yeast in, and then we're going to put the lid on, seal it up. And I need my stirry stick, which is not where I thought it was. Here it is. And we're going to mix in the yeast. Probably bang a bit more air in as well, as it needs it. It smells really good, but you never know what you've got until the fermentation's over, because fermenting fruit can cause bizarre flavours. Not had any that are like bad, but sometimes you can get like a tartness because all the sugar's disappeared, so all you're left with is the tartness of the flavours, which sometimes isn't a bad thing. I had a cherry one, fermented cherries in the Vikings blood that I did, and that was gorgeous. Right, that is that. We are done. All that's left to do now is to pop the lid on and wait. That's that. Within a week, I'll probably check it, see where it's at, and go from there. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.